It's Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation on LivehiphopDaily.tv. I am your host, Mecca, and tonight, you know, it's funny how guests can actually just come into your life, it's so crazy because the title of this episode is going to be called Manifest,
Literally,
because you made this happen. I don't want anybody else to think that they can just magically make themselves appear on this show because they can't. That's not how it's going to work. But Denise did. And I'm so blessed to finally have you in the studio because you're somebody I've been following for a while. We follow each other.
likewise.
And I thought the craziest part was, as I follow your personal page, I would have never thought you was in this business in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And then you told me. And I was like, oh, she's in this business heavy on all several levels, man. But my intro will not do you justice. For those who do not know you, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
So I'm Dee Scott. So I am the sole owner of 716 CBD.
Yep.
I am from Niagara Falls, New York. We are just 30 minutes from Buffalo, New York. So definitely thoughts and prayers go out to my people over the bridge,
Yes.
716 strong, always. And I am the owner of 716 CBD. So we do all, and I say we because it's owned by my sole heir. And we do all the bath bombs, shea butters, mud masks, all the luxury end of the hemp, but I do high level hemp. So I'm doing a 4,000 milligram full spectrum, and you're going to have some relaxation and be able to go to work the next day and take a little bit of angst out of anxiety. I'm also the recipient and the only person in Western New York that was the Black Farmer Fund cohort recipient of a grant that allows me to run my business and finish up my building that I bought based on the model of the infamous G5 cultivation, Mr. Smith. I kind of look at the greats and then I say, you know what, that's how I'm going to model my business after, and that's how I found you. And so we're gonna get into that whole situation. So I've been kind of following you since like the inception of when I decided I wanted to get in this business, which was way back in 2017 going into 18. So I kind of try to soak up as much knowledge as I could about CBD because I was like, I'm not ready to jump into cannabis yet, you know, because I don't know. There's a lot of plants, a lot of, you know, jargon and things going on. And the irony of all of this is I don't smoke. I will smoke 1 to 2 business times per year, you know what I mean? Like, because I have family members and my siblings are very heavy into that. They're definitely green thumbs, but I'm not. I'm more the chemist behind things. I'm more the financier behind things. And so I'm just super excited to be here because I was like, when I go down to Atlanta, I'm going to be on Cash Color Cannabis. That's what I'm going to do.
Hey, she manifested this at the right time.
I literally did.
At the right time. So you actually took one of the questions out of my mouth. I know you do not consume. You're not the only person I've met who's in the space who doesn't consume, but you don't consume. How did you find yourself involved in this industry where, you know, clearly people do consume and you're a non-consumer?
So no matter what you do, everything goes back to the earth, right? So our bodies go back to the earth. Everything we eat goes back to the earth. So, you know, when you're looking at the drug trade, even going back to the 90s, there were things that went back to the earth that when people were making synthetic drugs, right? What were they doing? They were mimicking what was already in the earth. So because I have a neuroscience and a chemistry background from, you know, University of Pittsburgh, Pace University, you're looking at things. So I'm like, okay, how does this affect the brain? Right. So I have people in my family that had pain management issues. We had an opioid, you know, crisis in America and, you know, all over the world. And so when you're looking at ways, and I worked in an industry that people were having sleep, you know, management issues, sleep deprivation. So you're looking at what are effective ways that people can try to release some of that pain, people in cancer institutions and people in hospice, without having to feel like, because some people are scared to do drugs or they look at weed still with that negative connotation, you know, some people, you know, and it's mostly not people from, you know, overseas or people from the islands that still have their African heritage. It's mostly people that have been brought here that are still, and I'm going to be frank, brainwashed with the ideology that, you know, there is a sky daddy somewhere that's coming to save us all. And, you know, they're not understanding that ancestrally, we have a chemical makeup and a DNA and a memory bank that says that if we go out to the earth, we can fix a lot of things, including what we eat and what we ingest and what we consume. So when you look at what is the largest organ of the body, it's the epidermis, right? So that's the skin. So when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I'm not about to be out here getting FDA, having the feds run up on me and, taking things. So I started with the elderberry tinctures, which went through the roof during COVID. So personally, I can honestly say that nobody in my family got it. And then my, third-party members of family that did get it, when I sent it to them, it helped tremendously. I am not legally allowed to say that, elderberry cures COVID, but it's mighty funny that when elderberry was $70 and $120 a pound for me to buy it during the height of COVID in 2020, why was that?
It's funny because you're touching on something else. How hard it is to market CBD products, because you can't mention certain things. No. You can't say certain words. You can't say that, this is going to do. It's almost like, figure it out. It's good though.
So we just went through this.
Like the best you could say.
Yeah, we just went through this so I had a commercial running, spent some money, because we spend money, in this industry. And so it makes me a little bit shy to even get into the cannabis, the full-blown cannabis industry. Like, my hat's off to anybody that's in that industry, because how are you running things through your bank? Like, CBD is literally in my brand name, and it's hard to do banking because, I want to do everything legit. I'm a businesswoman. This is what I do. And so I'm not going to be, shucking and jiving and keeping things under the mattress, even though that's what we do. But I still want to be able to pay taxes on this money. I want to be able to say, this is what I've done. Mm-hmm. You're not going to come up in here and say, like, I didn't claim this money, okay? And it's hard for us to do banking because I have CBD in the name. They can just shut your account down, which is what they did to me. So now, for us to even market it, I had a commercial. I had to go back 3 times with a cable company to do my commercial, which was shown on Fox News, which was shown, on major, stations after, various movies and things like that. And basically I told them, I said, look, just do whatever. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you need to do. Don't come back to me with another motherfucking commercial. You're not allowed to show the product in New York State. You're not allowed to say it takes the angst out of anxiety. These are taglines that I came up with myself, because I'm pretty damn poetic, right? These are things. So you weren't allowed to show the product. I wasn't allowed to say that it was for sleep. I wasn't allowed to say that it helped with anything. I wasn't even allowed to list actual facts about cannabinoids. I wasn't allowed to do that. So this is my hesitancy in getting in the full-blown cannabis industry, because that's great that y'all have these, big, units full of plants and things like that. But I'm still at the, infancy stage where how am I even going to be able to market it? And y'all are running me amok with the CBD. So I ended up with a commercial where I had 3,000 hits in a day because people didn't know what the hell I sold.
Yeah.
With a woman saying 716 CBD, and I had the only thing that they said that even was me was the fact that they said, and it comes from the heart. I said, do not say that anything comes from the heart. I would never say that. They said, well, what would you like us to say? Say it's ancestral. Don't say it comes from the heart, because people know. They know I don't have no damn heart. Say it's ancestral. Can you give me something that at least sounds like, what I'm saying, a black person owns it?
Yeah.
And that was the issue with CBD.
It's so crazy because at this moment I'm thinking our good friend Joe with Georgia Hemp Company, they currently have a commercial right now on TV. It's playing on Fox News, Fox during the day, and other channels. Mm-hmm. And I just realized to myself, the most y'all say is Georgia Hemp Company. Like, they don't mention products. You don't actually mention anything, they just mention Evan Holyfield is one of our affiliates this month. That's crazy. Yeah, that's hard as hell to actually promote, and it's not getting any easier anytime soon.
Now, do you think that, so in Georgia, so you're basically telling me that in Georgia it's not any different then?
No, it's not any different at all. Because as you said that, and I'll go back and look at the commercial again just to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Mm-hmm. Now that I think about it, I don't believe I heard y'all mention products or mention what these products do. You just, it's Georgia Hemp Company, pull up, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, so that
Right.
So on top of this is so crazy. So on top of not being able to actually have money in the bank, it's actually harder. It's hard for you to market something. yet it's still available for you to actually have as a business. This is what's so confusing to me about cannabis and CBD. I've had tons of these stories with tons of people, and it still comes back to the same confusion. How is this business operating and people are raking in billions of dollars when you can't put it in a bank and you damn near can't market it?
I'm about to tell you, because your product better be good, and my product is very good.
Yeah.
Okay? It's Frank Lucas good, without the snitching. It's good. And the reason is because I was Master P with it. My demographic, because your demographic is always in your mind something very different in the beginning. I'm gonna help, these people and just the cancer patients. And then it turned out I was helping a lot of coworkers, and I was helping a lot of the elderly, and I was helping people that had aches and pains, and they literally were like, I cannot sleep without this. I cannot, like, I got a bump, I got a bruise, and it don't stink. You're not going to bed smelling like, a camphor, like, a Vicks Vapor Rub. And so then my sister out in D.C., she was like, girl, this thing hard. So I took a lot of constructive criticism, and then you're investing your own money. A lot of people don't want to invest their own money, and so now you have to look at it in a business model. And so your product has to be that good that you have to be willing to say, I'll take an L. Yep. For 6 months and buy the best shea butter from Africa and the best, hemp, oil, the best CBD oil. Not none of the raggedy stuff. I knew that if I was going to come into this industry, I didn't want to start out at 500 milligrams. That's not going to do anything because I had to study. We break into industries all the time and we don't know anything, right? Mm-hmm. So people want to run a restaurant. And I hate to see black businesses do that. We think that just because someone else is selling hoodies and T-shirts, that we look at their bottom line and we think that because they're leasing a car that we could do the same thing. No, baby, this is my real money. I didn't have no funding. I wasn't on, behind desks doing stuff like that. This was my actual money. I ain't had no sugar daddy. I ain't had no Splendor daddy. I didn't have that. All I had was the Black Farmer Fund that came in and said, we see what you're doing. And the only reason that they gave me what they gave me was because I had already built that model. So you have your online stores. You're allowed to say whatever you want to say online. As long as your product with CBD is not an edible, I will not in any near future do an edible. I'm not finna be a kitchen witch making y'all some edibles. Y'all can do that yourselves. Y'all want to sit in there with them ropes and them little, brats or whatever it is they do with the nerds and all that stuff. Y'all can do that. I had an edible before. Listen, I went to Cannabis Cup in Michigan because, I study these things. Like, I invest the money. I tell black people all the time, invest the money. I went to the mall today with my son, and I love Lenox Mall and I love Fix Mall. We were lined up, us folk, outside Louis Vuitton, and we know Louis Vuitton don't have no sale.
Girl, I don't even like going to Lenox. I tell you, I don't like going to Buckhead.
Well, this is what I remember from when I come here. We've been coming here since my son was a child, so I love black people. So I want to see my people, you know, and my son, he's at a stage where he needs to see that he's doing his thing, and he needs to see what business looks like. So he needs to understand sometimes we hop on planes, trains, and automobiles and we get things done. And so I'm thinking to myself, I know because I was a Louis lover too, but it wasn't my money. Yeah. So if it's my money as a woman and I'm investing in something, it's not going to be a purse, it's going to be in my business.
I feel you.
So why would I put, 10% of something in my business? No, I want my people, unfortunately, to have the best of the best so that you come back. I don't mind giving you a little sample. So unfortunately, people think that we sell drugs. So what do they say? Crack sell itself. So I'm not selling crack, but I am selling you a product that you might not be able to have. Your quality of life is definitely going to change if you don't have that product when you need it. And that's what I would rather that than you think. And I've had people use other products. Yeah. And they still come back to mine, and that's what makes me happy.
And I like that because it is oversaturated, like the market itself, cannabis and CBD.
Oh, yeah.
You see, and especially the CBD market. You see a new CBD line come down every day.
It's hilarious.
But it goes back to quality of work,
Hilarious.
It goes back to quality of work. Like, if your quality of work is good enough and people actually can vouch for what you are selling, that goes a long way. Like, you don't necessarily need what we call traditional marketing, even though it's something that you would want to have. You'd want to have a commercial and a radio commercial. But right now, the best thing that you have is people who actually vouch for what you do.
and I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm just gonna put this out there for anybody that's just starting out in the business. There is somebody right now, and I was a huge fan of hers, and she just out of nowhere, because you know we could do anything. We could do hair, we could sell sunglasses, we could do anything, and she came out the blue and was selling shea butter, and I said, okay, all right, because listen, I study folks. I studied you. I said, he knows what he's talking about. I like these T-shirts. You see, I came in here, I asked about the T-shirts.
Yeah.
I know everything. I study people. And so I'm looking at her product, and I see the packaging. I could tell you exactly where you got that packaging from. I could tell you how much you paid for it in bulk. And then I look at her labeling, and I'm thinking, you make too much money. You was associated with, and this is what your labeling is? And I'm looking at the product, and I'm looking at her price point, right? Then I'm looking at what she's putting into it. That product, for what she was selling it for, was not the same as the product that I'm selling it for. And so that portion of her business failed. And this is somebody, when I tell you, you would have thought that just because of who she would have sold out. I was concerned. Okay? Because I was a big fan of hers. And she is not somebody that's in my industry. I was concerned. I said, this bitch finna put me out of business. God damn it. You know? And it did not work. And all her stuff had to go on sale. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to worry about yourself. You need to worry about yourself. If you put out a good product, and another thing, don't do things just for money. Because you're going to be giving away. I tell people, if you don't have enough money to give away, especially a beauty product, almost maybe 5 to 10% of what you sell. My business model has for charitable donation, 5 to 10%. Because if I got a little bit of extra shea butter, I'm not throwing that out. I'm putting that to the side. I'm putting it in a container, because if somebody says, you know what, Denise, I don't want to spend this amount of money on a shea butter, you know what, I got you. I'll give you a sample.
Come back and buy.
Yeah, come back and buy. And I run my model just like somebody that would run a business from the streets.
But you know, that's another thing too that we can get into about how people don't know how to properly run a business. You know, like you had mentioned, people they'll see a restaurant and they want to jump and say, I'm gonna start a restaurant. But do you know anything about actually running a restaurant? Like you see it even now with podcasting. Like, bro, do you really know what it's like to do something every single day, every single week?
Did you know Facebook is banning podcasts after June?
What? They just now opened it up to podcasting, but it's all. That's why. Again, I don't co-sign no social media platform. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, it's hard enough to be what you're doing now. Just try your hardest to make everything stream through you, and that's our next plan. Everything streamed through CashColorCannabis.com. Because I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not betting my rest of my life on social media.
Well, I'm on iTunes too.
Hey,
I have my own too.
We there, you know what I'm saying? Like, we on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, we on all them platforms. But when I say I promote them just because they're there. Like, I'm really here to tell y'all, go to CashColorCannabis.com.
100%.
Yeah, go start going there, man, because I can't deal with this. They just put them up there.
And I think the reason they're doing that is because you and I both know. So you're like me. Like I said, I've been following for a long time. So I have almost 400 podcasts because I started on Blog Talk Radio, which at the time was the largest.
I remember Blog Talk
at the
Radio.
time. Exactly. And then I tried to do iHeartRadio, couldn't get it together. I wanted to do SiriusXM, and then I got kind of lazy. But right now I have like 350 podcasts, and I had to transfer them to iTunes because that was the new thing. And people, it's like to validate you. They're like, you want iTunes?
Exactly.
Just like when I was doing books, and I have a publishing company my son is also a part of. You want Amazon? Of course I'm on Amazon. What you thought? Like, this is business. So as part of your business model, you have to be legitimate. So first thing they're asking you is their website. You know, and now, even with your website, I remember my first publishing agent was from Atlanta. Shout out to Cliff Camp. Like, he had designed my website. I didn't know I could design it myself because back then you couldn't. GoDaddy was raggedy. Wix was raggedy. Like, you in there hitting a button and things. I remember I think it was Dwelle, flapjacks that would come up. This is when you could have music on your website.
What year was this?
This was, let me see. My book came out in 2013. And matter of fact, I had a company down here that was ran by, I think it was TI that actually designed my website. I can't remember the name of them. And they actually went out of business. So like you said, and then let's talk about the business etiquette. We don't have a business etiquette. The only reason you don't have a gift in front of you right now is because I couldn't hand curate it myself. One of the things that people come to my business for is because I hand curate everything by myself. It is written into my contract. There will never be somebody that puts their hands on any product but me. You can label it, you can package it, you can ship it off. But I don't care. My building is set up that if I have to sleep there because I have to get 700 orders out.
I was just thinking that. So you would really, are you thinking about mass production at any point?
Yes, I just had a conversation with a marketing genius of mine. She worked for the 6th rank marketing company out of Chicago. My homegirl Ashley, she's based out of Buffalo. And she's like, all right, when we start getting to these orders, because we did a kind of a test run with the commercial, we saw what the views were hitting for. We now know the verbiage, because there's ways around this verbiage, you know, because being a writer, there's ways around me saying in a book that X, Y, and Z happened without saying X, Y, and Z happened.
Gotta be colorful with the words.
So, exactly. Yeah. So that's why a lot of us, especially in the creative industries, poets, right? So all marketing is poetry, getting people to remember things. So there's a way around that. So she's got a place that actually what they do is they just mass produce bath bombs. They mass produce. But my thing is this, long as you don't have my formula, because that's trade secret. You know, and then we have to also have the conversation about people wanting to LLC before they trademark. Why you want to pay taxes on something before you own the name on it? Why you want to do that?
It's belief in what you, it's a lot of belief. Like, I feel like people put together stuff nowadays and they don't fully have, they're not fully all in themselves. So like you just mentioned, like you'll LLC it before you have the name. That's wild, you know, but you know, at the same, I get it. It's about belief. Like I was going back to, it's about really believing in yourself. And I think a lot of people don't believe in themselves that much to fully go into that next line of investment, because it starts feeling like, all right, so now I'm spending this money, I'm spending that money. Now I got to turn it into something. And a lot of times shit isn't something. It's something they put online. It's something they tell people they do.
I learned that very quickly in publishing. So I own the publishing entity because, listen, I'm almost 50 years old. So when people say like, oh, wow, yeah, because I've been on the earth almost half a century. Yeah. I should have had, 5 careers by now. You understand what I'm saying? So, but they all are concurrent, right? So Stay in Your Lane. Stay in Your Lane was my first book, right? My podcast is called Stay in Your Lane with D. Scott. That's on iTunes, right? That grew into something else and being more holistic and, not having to, take psychopharmaceuticals. Now, if you need them, take that shit. Like, if you fucked up, take it. Like, don't be out here fucked up and schizophrenic and, off your meds and shit. But what I'm saying is that everything is always about the brand, but you are your brand. So if you out here faking the funk, and we just saw that recently, and I won't say because I won't be disrespectful, I am who I am. Yeah. So you can run into me on a Wednesday the same way. That's why I left the flip-flops here, because I want you to know. I ran here in these flip-flops. That's who I am. Culturally ratchet. Who was it that said, what was it, Sophista Ratchet? I'm who I was who I was when I got here. I put this makeup on for y'all, because that's why I don't do visual podcasts, because I be raggedy. I be in the UGG robe, drinking, toasting, to celebrating in the crib. I'm at home, and I let people know. They say, oh, you from New York? No, I'm from upstate New York. I'm from Western New York. I'm from Niagara Falls. I'm very proud of who I am. When, the brother here told me he was from the Bronx, I'm like, yeah, I used to live, off Burkett Avenue, the number 2 train, but I represent the 716 very well, because per capita, there's a lot of shit and there's a lot of talent from where I'm from. But we don't have a lot of the business etiquette that we need. You know how many people will sit there and say, let me pick your brain? Pick your brain is, let me ask you a bunch of shit for free and I don't even buy you a cup of coffee. Look, girl, if you don't even buy me a cup of coffee and even have the respect to show up to the meeting on time, I can't do nothing for you, because that means that you don't even have enough respect for me or yourself. You're not serious about this business.
Serious,
you just want to make some money.
Yep. Money
is cyclic. I can show you how to go make some money. I can't show you how to keep it.
Yeah.
I can't show you how to keep it.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, in any industry, like, you've been here. That's what is so important about this, is like, you've been here. And I remember coming to Atlanta in this area. Like I said, there was a pizza place across the street. These was like the after-hour clubs. I think this is the area where, on Love and Hip Hop, this where Tommy and what's his name, Scrap, was arguing, and she was crying, and she was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was like, I think these are the apartments that they was arguing.
It was the other street. I know what you're talking about.
But I'm right. Okay, so I do know my Atlanta, right? Okay, so when I tell people I've been here, they know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I've traveled. So we in business, when people say like, oh, people are, listen, you don't gotta pay $1,000 for somebody to tell you how to run a business. Pay for somebody a salad or to sit down with somebody doing what it is that you want to do. Pay for somebody. Follow somebody on the internet. That's not you being a stalker. That's not you being, I ain't finna kiss nobody else. Man, listen, anybody doing what I want to do, I'm finna follow you.
Girl.
I'm finna follow you.
That pride, too.
I ain't got no pride when it comes to
I
getting
don't want to
this
kiss
paper.
nobody ass. I want to ask nobody. Refuse mentoring. Refuse any kind of actual help. But say you're in business. I'm like, I don't know. I just can't take a lot of these businesses serious because I don't feel like they're actually in business.
Do you find that some of the businesses that started have failed at this point? And look at the podcast.
Girl, I can tell you from when I started in 2016, when we first did the documentary, big part of me not finishing the documentary because at least 7 people I interviewed aren't even in this no more. Like, as hardcore as you was in these conversations, 7 of them are not nowhere close to this.
And why do you think that is?
I know it goes back to not serious. I could think of 3 of them off the top of my head. You weren't necessarily serious. You tried to get some money. You figured out that it's probably something you could do to be financially beneficial to you, but you never thought about how much this could work, what you need to do, how long this is going to take. It's nothing's a snap of the finger. Like, even us, 300 episodes coming up soon. This is every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. Plenty of times nobody been in the studio but me and Herb and the guests.
I know.
We grow to the point where people started actually messing with us, and that takes a long time. Like you mentioned, it's time investment and money investment.
Yeah, and that's why I remembered your show too, because I did Tell the Truth Tuesdays. So now, you see Tell the Truth Tuesdays all the time. That was me. And then when I realized that we couldn't copyright hashtags, I was tight. Because, honey, when people said, oh, stay in your lane and da-da-da, no, that was me. I said that in 2013. Mind a business that pays you, that was me. Okay? So a lot of us that have been in this industry, because like I said, I got in here in 2018, the first thing I did, like when I decided I wanted to be a farmer, yes, I'm about to be out here farming. Okay? I'm about to be like straight dungarees and everything. That's what we come from. Y'all are down here in Georgia. Y'all have some rich soil down here. Red clay soil. And some of, Savannah is part of the Gullah Geechee coast. That is where indigo, that color indigo blue comes from. There is a lot of history that is here in Georgia that I bring to my home in New York, which is where I also formed Black House Growers. So if you go on blackhousegrowers.com, that is my subsidiary company. That is where my farm will be based. So when I decided, you know what, I'm feeling like America not finna feed us. Something, this was like 4 years ago. I was like, something is about to happen. We're not gonna have no food. Like, it's about forecasting, and it's not about the stock market. Like, when everybody was talking about Bitcoin, I'm like, I understand, but I need to know where I can go get my money. This is not, I don't know what you're talking about.
Said Rick Ross.
No, for real. Like, I need to know where I could go get my money. I think that's great that a lot of people are able to get this money. Where can I go touch my money? I believe in mattress money, I believe in bank money, and I believe in long money. And a lot of us are not playing the long game, and that's how they beat us out of money. You show somebody black a quick way to make some money. Do you want to have your children have money? And you know who I absolutely is my spirit animal is freaking Dame Dash. Oh, Dame Dash is a little man that lives inside my head every time I think about certain things. Do you want your kids to have something? You have to own everything that you do.
Yeah.
And so especially being a woman in business, do you know how many times I done been beat out of money? Okay, you got to have lawyer money for this. But in the beginning, it didn't start like that. Everybody when I first started, I also had a t-shirt industry. I had a t-shirt business. Zero fucks. That was mine. Zero FUX. That was mine. People say, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was me. That was me. So I've been around. That's why I remembered who you was. But the first thing I said, I was like, where's your t-shirt? Where's your t-shirt?
Sizzle and Smoke Shop right now. Y'all can go down there and grab them t-shirts before I grab them.
So now, down here in Georgia, I have to sit here and meet with one of your guys that are on the hemp board because I want to talk to you guys. And just so You guys know here in Georgia, there is, we always talk about our 40 acres and a mule, and I think a lot of the discrepancies in our culture come from lack of information. So one of the things that I think people don't understand is that while everybody was out trying to get a PPL loan, okay, there's up to $600,000 for USDA loans for BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, to be able to buy farms. You can have a house on a farm. So if you can find something in your state, I'm just putting the information out there, even if it's just a little, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom with some acres on it. In the state of New York, you need 7 acres to be actually considered a USDA farm. I don't know what you need in Georgia. You can have a farm. And it doesn't go based on your credit. There was $2 billion. So we talk about Biden. We don't disrespect the president. He was in Buffalo, New York, tending to the massacre that happened. But these are some of the things that are available to us that nobody is talking about.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to talk about that, right? Crystal Peoples-Stokes is one of the majority leaders in Buffalo, and I literally sing her praises all the time because she was at the forefront of the cannabis decriminalization that decriminalized a lot of the charges and all that stuff that was going on in the state of New York to make it so that Black men and women can get their records expunged. And now what they've done is, in the state of New York, we have the legalization. And what they've done is that these cannabis licenses to be able to sell, cultivate, because it's like 3 different, sectors and dispensaries and things like that. The first licenses were given to people that were previously felons. Now, the reason that that's a little bit tricky, and that's why, I always tell people, have you some legal advice, even just a legal friend, is that the irony of all of that is at some point they're going to ask you to source that money. Mm-hmm. You know that. And what they're also going to say is, hey, we offered you Black people, you Negroes, these licenses first, even though they were $25,000 or $200, because they used to be $250,000. It used to be $250,000 to have a medical license, and they only gave out like 11 a year. And the application fee was like $25,000. And if you didn't get picked up, then the application fee was gone. And of those 11 licenses, I believe 3 of them were concurrent on, like, of the 11 licenses, there were 3 names that were on the same licenses, you see. So we are already forced out of certain industries, and then they make it appear like we are, welcomed into certain industries. And so the best thing for us to do is to be tightened up about the industries that we're in and make sure, listen, get you a lawyer friend. Mm-hmm. They ain't but $500 to start. They take payments. They're not, you ain't did no criminal activity yet. Put them on retainer. $500, that's what? Down here, a night at the club? A half a night?
Half a night.
A half a night?
I don't even know if that's a table.
2 hours. It's not a table.
Yeah.
I know, because I've had my party down here at Vanquish back in the day. I had my party down here over there by the aquarium back in the day. Okay? That's not even a half a night. We have to get our P's and Q's in order. And a woman in business, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation.
I like you.
I like you.
I like you.
I'm here.
I like you. I like you. I like you. You did bring some good energy on a Tuesday night that I needed. Yeah, I needed to hear all that because you reinforced a lot of things I knew in my mind anyway, that when it comes to business, people really don't take it super serious. And it's kind of, it's disheartening for me because I want to believe in almost everybody who comes in my face. Know. But I'm like, some of y'all just, it's not it. Like this is just ain't it. And you reinforced that in my mind. Like I wasn't tripping. Like you are meeting a lot of people who aren't really in business. But you also reminded me that some of the best things for us being Black people are right in front of our face and we don't pay attention to it. Like you mentioned about the farm, farm, the money that you can to actually fund yourself and get a farm and put a house on the land. And I hear people often mention, if we just had this land, we could grow this, grow that. All right, well, boom, this is actually happening. Like how many people are taking advantage of that? Things like that. So we needed to have this conversation today, and I'm gonna drop that. Matter of fact, when we do the description, I'm gonna drop the information when we drop this episode, I'm gonna drop the link in the description so people can go check that out and learn about it. Maybe it's something you want to do, and maybe it's not something you want to do, but know it exists.
Listen, and you can grow whatever you want to grow on your land. Like I said,
Yeah.
land and farming, like I said, in New York State could mean you just got 3 chickens. I
Yeah.
mean, I like eggs.
Yeah.
I'll have some chickens. Am I going to do some cattle? No. But will I have 3 chickens on there because that's what the state requires? Do a little bit of research. Because if you're going to buy a house, yeah, you might got to drive a little bit of ways, but there's things out there that you can do. We research everything else. It's time to stop scamming.
Yeah.
The scamming time is over. Y'all going to jail now. Like let's try to make sure that we stay institutionalized with how we're going to get our money and keep it.
Yeah.
You know.
D, you are an amazing energy. I appreciate you for coming through tonight. I want you to let people know how they could at least follow you on Instagram, how they could follow you on social media, how they can learn more about Black House Growers, everything that encompasses yourself from 716 CBD and everything else.
So you guys can follow me, everything I own on my name. So blackhousegrowers.com. That is my website for that. There's no Instagram for that yet because we're getting the little raised farm beds. That's a subsidiary of 716 CBD. So 716cbd.com. You guys can reach me there. There's also at 716 CBD on Twitter. You guys can email me at 716cbd@gmail. My personal Instagram is at miss.d.scott. That's a wild trip of a ride.
Really is. It really is.
And like you said, like, you know, you were like, I had no idea you were in the cannabis industry. Right, because your personal page is really your personal stuff.
Yeah.
And then my business page, so sometimes, you know, they don't overlap.
No, I feel you.
But definitely 716cbd.com. My son actually runs the social media platform for that, but we do answer everything. We're, you know, a small family business, and I'm always, you know, trying to mentor and pay it forward because there are people that paved the way for me, and I'm always trying to, you know, mentor, especially young women or old women, if you really serious. So if you come to me and you don't tell me, you know, that you at least name searched on tests, which is your USPTO, you know, about if you searched your name to make sure that it exists or somebody else took it, then I don't think that we should talk. I think you should look it up and make sure that nobody owns your name first, because I can't even work with you if somebody else owns your name.
Look,
You know?
please follow her. She's definitely super interesting. And like you said, it's going to be a hell of a ride if you follow her on Instagram. Some of the stories had me so tied in. I was like, I don't even know if this dude's a real person. But
They all real. I'm getting ready to post in a minute because I'd be so upset. And it could have been something that happened 8 years ago, but it is Tell the Truth Tuesday. So, and I'm glad I'm here. And I did manifest myself here. I kept telling people, I was like, I'm going down to Atlanta because I'm going to be on this show, CashColorCannabis. And everybody's like, for real? And I'm like, yeah. They like, when? I was like, I don't know, because he hadn't called me yet. And literally, he didn't even know. Like, I didn't even say anything. Like, literally, I was like, no, I'm going to be on the show because I've been, you know, following him for a while. And, like, literally, we had no communication, no conversation. I literally inboxed him, like, a week ago. I was like, hey, I'm going to be in your city in, like, a week. And he's like, okay. I didn't even know. Like, I just watched the show after the fact because I do my show Tuesday nights, Tell the Truth Tuesday. And he inboxed me, like, what was it, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
He's like, you still coming to town? I was like, yeah, I'll be there Tuesday night. He's like, oh, okay, the show films Tuesday night. Do you want to call? And I was like, no, I can come down because I literally just landed here today at like 3:30 in the afternoon from New York. And I was like, all right, I'll be down. Yeah, because this is how my life works. And you'll see that when you follow me on Instagram at miss.d.scott.
I love it. Your son must have some amazing stories, too, from moving around with you.
My son be like, what? He be like, if she wanted, she going to have it. She going to go get it. But
D,
I'm thankful.
Thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate your time tonight. I can't wait for this episode to drop. It was super dope tonight. And before we get out of here, I didn't get a chance to mention this earlier. I would like to say a thank you and a welcome to our sponsors for the month. That's Ayana Leaf, Tree 18, and Leafly Therapy. I can't wait to share with y'all the dope things that these individual brands produce. And when this episode go live, I want you to click the links in the descriptions and learn more about all these Black-owned brands. So I'm Mecca, Cash Color Canvas, high level of conversation. We out.